Following the heels of yesterday's build video, I got to thinking last night. Okay, we did a build video yesterday talking about, some builds I like, blah, 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 blah. And I really spoke a lot of praise about Strand Titan, as well as specifically Quicksilver Storm. And it got me thinking about Destiny 2's weapon structure, blah, 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 whatever you want to call it. And I have to ask y'all a question. Is Destiny 2 in a weapon crisis? Now, hold your horses, because I know what everybody's thinking. No, we got plenty of weapons to choose from. We got all the new seasonal weapons this season. We got tons of craftable weapons, tons of raid weapons. Like, we are not in any kind of shortage of weapons right now, or in any kind of weapon crisis, right? I have to disagree slightly right there. You see, Quicksilver Storm is a phenomenal exotic, and that's kind of where I'm going to be building off of this whole video here, because Quicksilver Storm is literally, I would put everything I have on it as being the best weapon in the game right now. It is a primary weapon, so it has infinite ammo. It has a secondary like rocket launcher thing built into it that literally does more damage than any other auto rifle in the 720 archetype in the game, right? Like, it's just built in free damage, and it has a grenade launcher fire mode that is literally like a whole second weapon type. So essentially, when you are running around with Quicksilver Storm and whatever build you have 4 weapons built into one. You got your auto rifle, okay, which deals more damage on top of the fact that it's an exotic, so it deals even more damage. You've got your grenade launcher, secondary mode. You have a sniper on, and then you have a rocket launcher on. That's 4 different weapons for whatever purposes you want, right? And I know that there are some other weapons that have alternate firing modes, blah, blah, blah. But I think the thing here is Quicksilver Storm does it so insanely good, right? The grenade launcher is literally, if I'm not mistaken, and I have done, again, no testing here, but if I'm not mistaken, my Truth Teller hits for 28,000. I think it has disorienting grenades, so I know that might affect it a little bit. Quicksilver Storm hits for like 30 or 33,000, right? So Quicksilver Storm is potentially hitting harder than special grenade launchers. At what cost? Nothing. Literally, it doesn't even take a full magazine to get the 3 grenades that you need, for Quicksilver Storm to massively enhance your damage. Okay, so Quicksilver Storm, obviously fantastic for ad clear. It builds straight into the Strand kit. Okay, so unraveling rounds, for example, is insanely good on it. It's got massive damage potential with its grenade launcher mode. Like, it is literally doing everything that you would need in a weapon kit, right? Outside of specialty stuff like disorienting grenades, like blinding enemies or something like that. But it's not just Quicksilver Storm. Over the past few months that I have been playing, I have noticed there's a sharp uptick in exotic primary usage in my personal arsenal. And I'm starting to look at other people's arsenals, in raids, in dungeons, in other PvE activity, Nightfall, stuff like that. And it's the same thing. Lots of people are using primary exotics. And this is why I wanted to make this video today, because at one point in time, primary exotics were non-existent, right? At one point in time, primary exotics were something that nobody touched, because why would you? For example, if we went back to the pre-exotic primary buff, by the way, I forgot to mention it, but primary ammo exotic weapons deal 40% more damage than their legendary counterparts. So, for example, Rufus's Fury and Quicksilver Storm are in the same archetype, 720 rapid fire auto rifles, but Quicksilver Storm does 40% more damage, right? And that's just flat, like per bullets, on a per bullet basis. Never mind all the effects that it has, the rocket chasers, the grenade, whatever. Never mind that. It is just 40% more damage, which is a massive amount of damage, right? Like that's huge. There is literally no real reason to not use an exotic primary over another primary. Like, it's all positives, right? You want pulse rifles. You could use something like Chattering Bone, and Chattering Bone is very, very good. It's a very good pulse rifle. Outbreak Perfected, though, does 40% more damage. It's in the same archetype, in the same slot. 40% more damage. Okay, so exotic primaries are absolutely massive right now. They're dealing way more damage. I think that's of course, obviously one of the things that is attributing to Quicksilver Storm and other exotic primaries being so potent and so deadly right now. However, we also have to look at build crafting, okay? Because kinetic weapons, that's the next thing I want to talk about, is kinetic weapons. Kinetic weapons, oh my god, I don't even remember the last time I used a kinetic weapon, like for any type of hardcore in-game play, right? I mean, or I'm sorry, I shouldn't say kinetic primary, right? Because obviously Succession, for example, Succession or Heritage, these are examples of phenomenal weapons that are kinetics, but they're special weapons. In terms of kinetic primaries, I don't touch kinetic primaries, right? I have no reason to. Yeah, the 15% damage bonus is nice, but long gone are the days where, you know, outlaw kill clip is like the king role in PvE. Okay, like that's not the case. Now it is something like outlaw on kinetic weapons, kinetic trimmers. Or if you're building into your subclass at all, outlaw, you know, those kinetic weapons are gone. They've been replaced by strand and stasis weapons. I would argue that even if you're not using a stasis weapon, I'm sorry, a stasis subclass, right? If you're not using a stasis subclass, you're on solar or something like that, using a stasis weapon with headstone or with chill clip or something like that is 100% the play, right? Because it is the ability to apply various like debuffs to enemies, like slow, like what's it called, freeze, sorry, you know, things like, I guess there's not really many for strand, huh? Outside of hatchling, which hatchling's an underwhelming perk as it is. Anyways, it doesn't matter. I'm not gonna go off topic there, but most players, if they're using, you know, if they're using an energy subclass, say solar, they're going to be using a solar weapon. If they're even using primary ammo weapon, they're going to be using a solar primary ammo weapon in their energy slot. And they're using something like Riptide with auto loading and chill clip, because auto loading and chill clip is insanely good. It can stun literally 2 different types of champions with no champion mods for fusion rifles at all. But this is what I'm talking about when I say we're in a weapon crisis. Kinetic weapons do not have a place outside of one very particular build, which is a chromatic fire build. But even with chromatic fire, like I would argue that it's not that strong. Like, yes, it's fun. I'll sit here and agree that chromatic fire is a lot of fun. I really can't wait to build some type of Outbreak Perfected with strand, you know, unraveling. Hopefully some kind of unraveling build would be super cool. You know, you got nanites, you got, you know, the unraveling rounds chasing enemies. Be super fun, but is it viable in in-game content? I don't really know. I have not played with it, so I'm not going to sit here and pretend, yes, it's, you know, the best build or it's the worst, or say it's the worst build, but I haven't played with it. But outside of that, kinetic weapons, they don't have a place. They really don't. And especially with primary ammo weapons, why would I ever use a kinetic auto rifle when I could use, I'm sorry, a kinetic legendary auto rifle when I could use something like Quicksilver Storm? You know, when I could use something like Monte Carlo, which is also kinetic, but it's exotic, so it's dealing 40% more damage, you know? Then if I go into legendary, I can use something like Rufus's Fury, which is an insanely good auto rifle. I could use something like Disparity with headstone, rapid hit, so I can make crystals freeze enemies. There are so many potentials that you have with elemental weapons. Kinetic weapons just feel pointless. It feels pointless to use them, you know. And I know that Bungie, they've been talking about tweaking kinetics and making them better. I don't know how else you're going to make them better outside of literally giving them a 40% damage boost to be on par with exotics, right? But yeah, that's kind of the weapon crisis I think that we're in, and it's a product, you know, it's a product of build crafting too. Like let's not pretend that it's not. You know, if you are using a strand or a stasis subclass and you're not building into the strand and stasis kits, I think you're doing it wrong. You know, if you are a warlock, for example, or a hunter, you know, and you're not using a chill clip Riptide in your kinetic slot, you're doing it wrong, in my opinion. You know, if you're a Titan and you're not using a headstone weapon or something that can make crystals like Verglass Curve or Vergla Curve, I don't know how you say it, you're doing it wrong, right? Because these weapons, which I know Vergla Curve is exotic, but you know, something like Disparity, we mentioned Disparity earlier, rapid hits and headstone, that is a dream combo for a Stasis Titan because that's more crystals that you can make. The more crystals you can make, the better your Stasis Titan is going to be. the build crafting has gotten insane, and there's no build crafting for kinetics outside of maybe the chromatic fire build that you could do. But even then, like, is it any better than using something like a Tyranny of Heaven with Dragonfly and Incandescent? Because I would argue that using Tyranny of Heaven on a Solar Warlock is better than using some kinetic weapon with Chromatic Fire, right? Because Solar Warlock, if I'm not mistaken, with the Solar Warlock, you could use, say, Chattering Bone, for example. You get a precision kill. It causes the explosion, and then the explosion scorches enemies. Tyranny of Heaven can do the same thing, and it's in the energy slot, which frees up, once again, it frees up your primary slot for some great special weapon, like, I don't know, what's a great exotic? Witherhoard, for example. Witherhoard's fantastic. Bastion is a fantastic weapon. Wishender, oh my god, Wishender is an insanely good weapon. Okay, like, Wishender is I would put it at probably the top of, obviously it's at the top of the list for PvE bows, no question about it, but I'd put it at the top of, like, I'd put it in the top 10 weapons for the season, over the past several seasons, because the damage it does to shields is very strong. Blah, blah. We don't need to get it off on a tangent on Wishender here. Look, the point is, Destiny is kind of in a weapon crisis right now. Kinetic weapons, kinetic primary weapons especially, have no place in the meta, right? Legendary primary ammo weapons don't have a place in the meta, especially with how extreme exotic primaries are. Like, exotic primaries are so good. Not only that, but exotic primaries also got another buff just a few seasons ago, where they will drop more heavy ammo and more special ammo, more heavy and special ammo for your special and your heavy weapons. So it's like, really, what's the point of using a a primary ammo weapon that is not exotic, right? Outside of maybe some stuff for champions, like this season, if you're running a void build on Hunter, and you've got your anti-barrier blah 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 rounds, but you need something for unstoppable, okay, yeah, then I could see using a hand cannon there. But nobody's rushing out here to use legendary primary weapons in PvE because they're not very strong. And I know that some of you are going to be like, well, no, actually, I love Cloud Strike, blah, blah, blah. That's great and all, okay? But I really think that if you're not using a kinetic primary weapon, you're hurting yourself in the long run. Something like Outbreak, nutty strong, right? Obviously, Quicksilver Storm, literally the best gun in the game. I would put it hands down to be the best gun in the game. If a new player were to come in here and say, hey, what exotic should I get first? Quicksilver Storm would be my answer. It used to be Outbreak, because Outbreak kind of filled the same role. It had good ad clear. It felt good. It had range. It could deal more damage. But now Quicksilver Storm has taken that title by a long shot. And I don't think that it is Quicksilver Storm's fault. I think it's more so the fault of where legendary weapons are. Legendary weapons, not as powerful as exotic weapons, right? Quicksilver Storm, the grenade launcher ability, like, that's fantastic. Maybe it could use some tuning there, because that grenade launcher is so powerful. Maybe, bring the damage that the grenade launcher deals down to, like, half of what it is now, because 30,000 damage, which, like I said, I don't know for sure. Somebody correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that deals as much as a special grenade launcher, which is nutty, considering there's no ammo economy. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else to say about it. I think that we're in a little bit of a weapon crisis, and I don't really know how Bungie can handle it, because I would say that if you nerf exotic primaries down, maybe you could nerf them down to, like, okay, 20% more damage, right? Like, 20% more damage is still a decent amount more damage, or even 30% more damage. Still a decent amount of damage, but it leaves some breathing room for our exotic, or for our legendary primaries. For example, Quicksilver Storm, instead of dealing 40% more damage than Rufus's Fury, if it's only dealing 20%, then Rufus's Fury with Paracausal Affinity, Paracausal Affinity would match Rufus's Fury, and it wouldn't feel quite so. It doesn't feel bad to use Rufus's Fury, but it definitely is so much stronger to use Quicksilver Storm. But yeah, that would be the first option, is maybe toning it down a little bit. Other than that, I really don't know what else Bungie can do. And I hate saying to nerf, I hate calling for nerfs outside of things that are incredibly busted and overpowered, that definitely need a nerf. I don't like calling for nerfs, but I think that maybe exotic primaries need to be toned down just a little bit. You know, Quicksilver Storm especially. That grenade launcher is nutty powerful. But yeah, I don't know. I've talked enough about it. Let me know your thoughts on exotic primaries, Quicksilver Storm, all that stuff in the comments section below. If I'm wrong about anything, because all my facts were speculation, I guess, here, or not speculation, but what I assume and what I thought and felt. Let me know if I'm wrong. If you can correct me, I don't care. But yeah, that's it for today's video. Like, subscribe, and watch the video you see on the end screen here, because for whatever reason, but YouTube, not Bungie, YouTube thinks you'll like it. Bye, guys.